I used to do competitive powerlifting. I stopped some years ago, but recently I started lifting again. And I had sold or lost a lot of my old equipment, and among this was my deadlifting straps. The old place where I had bought my deadlifting straps stopped selling them, and I prefer leather straps compared to woven plastic or cloth straps. Leather just has another feel. So I decided, now that I had picked up leather working as a hobby, that I would make my own. I went out and got this leather second hand from a guy who makes bags and other stuff and belts. And this is belt stock, so it's actually quite thick. Might be a bit too thick for the purpose, but it's perfect. I can spoil as much that I have tried them. So simply just making 2 strips of leather. I made them the thickness of my ruler, just to have some indication. You could have made them thinner or slightly thicker, but whatever suits you. This is about 5 centimeters, so about 2 inches for American units. And here I'm just scratching out so the glue will fit better. It's not strictly necessary to glue it. I just prefer gluing, because you glue first and then it's easier when you have to do the stitching, because there's less holding for you. I am working on a saddle horse, or a stitching horse, or whatever you want to call it, that can hold the thing that you're working on. So as always with this lovely glue called Klebfest, which is German glue, it's just that if you spread it around and you leave it a little so it starts hardening, it'll glue easier, and then you just give it a good whack. So it's all sticking just before it gives the whack, and then you just give it a whack, and now it's almost ready. I always leave it an hour or so after I've whacked it, just with a slight clamp. And there you go. This could almost work, but I don't want to try it for deadlifting when it's only a small glue up. And here you can see the result of just being gentle with it so I don't lose the glue up. But yeah, this is how they'll fit on my hand and for deadlifting. You could also use it for pull-ups or other things. This little hammer I made in another video. If you're interested in that, it's made from a nut I found on the road where they were building a tram line. They just tossed it on the sidewalk. And it works excellently because it's really, really heavy and it's good for the hand. I know that I should be using rawhide or something like that for my punches, but I'll buy new punches if they break, and I have yet to experience them breaking. And from here on out, it's just saddle stitching, and I'll be back with you guys when I have the finished project, or rather when I have the first part of the finished project, because technically when you have stitched this up, it's done. You could do more finishing if you want to, and I'm doing that, but stitching is all you need. So when I did the stitching part here, now the whole video is sped up, but I made both of them in 30 minutes. So technically leather straps in 30 minutes. And then I do the finishing work, which took almost an hour more. Because you're doing gentle work and you're burnishing the sides and all this. So yeah. Enjoy the rest of the video. So, now that I've actually tested these straps deadlifting, I've concluded that they're a tad too long, and that's because the first try I did, they were too short when I had folded this end up here, but this is a tad too long. So just gonna look at here. Let's see, it's 45 centimeters from this area here, or that's roughly 18 inches for the American audience, and I think that should be, just mark this area up here with a red pen. There. Well, you might not be able to see it, but I can. So hang on. We're just gonna do this. And we're gonna look at it here. If I put the strap here. So I cut it there, and that'd still be enough for one rep at least. And I only use one repping when I deadlift. So let's give it a little extra and cut it up here. Very scientific to say that, but you know, there we go. So here was the initial mark. So let's just go here and let's say there. Cut. Let's just make some room. I can take off the strap. Here. The thing is, you could technically stop before this step, or you can stop after you've tested them and cut them to size. Essentially, this is fine to work with now. The shape might not be perfect, yada yada yada. For aesthetic reasons, at least. But for lifting, these are perfect already. Let's just do the easy way. Also, I was afraid that this initial cut here would give some issues, but it's not in a bad place, so it's fine. Doesn't give any rise for any kind of issues, so it's perfect. Let's just groove it down here. So, there. All in all, if you have some experience with leather, you can do this in 15 minutes in total. And if you have no experience with leather, you watch the tutorial, and then afterwards you just work with it. It shouldn't really take it that long because it's not a terribly hard project to make. And like making the holes, and these are not even in a pretty precision, and I haven't burned them or anything like that, but that you could do with a nail. For the stitching, you don't have to buy a needle for leatherworking. You can buy anything that would work for that. You don't have to carve these edges pretty, and you don't have to use a scalpel. You could use a standard knife for the workshop. So we're gonna do a little work to make them nice. So we have this edge tool here, so we'll just make it nice and round. And to those who follow along on the channel, we made a burnishing tool. I specifically made the burnishing tool for this because I made these straps a couple weeks ago, so I could use them for deadlifting again because I used to compete. And now it's just a matter of making these nice and pretty and softer. Because the only issue with leather straps for deadlifting or pull-ups and so on, well, it is that they bite, as leather tends to do. And I mean, it doesn't hurt that bad, but still unpleasant sensation. The only issue right now is because I've been using them for a couple of weeks, they have already started to go nice and soft and supple, which is good for when you're lifting, but right now it has all these indentations and so on, which is rather annoying. So I'm just going to finish this up and get back to you in a moment. So now that we have fixed all the edges, it has a little nicer feel, but it's very rough here. So what we're gonna do, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take some beeswax. I have here. This is beeswax with some oil, so it's more pliable, easier to work with. Could take the solid kind, burnish it on with a tool or melt it on. I've seen some people use a hairdryer to heat it, or you can just apply it, a bit of cloth, like so. And now we take this one. And if you haven't seen it, you can go and look at the video where I make it. Basically, a tool like this is just for whole thing shakes now, but there. Now it's no longer a jagged, rough edge, but a nice soft-ish edge. I don't know if it really shows on camera, but this one here has been rounded and this one here is still flat. And this is the exact reason why I didn't put any beeswax on my tool when I made it in the previous video, because it's gonna get so much working this, so it doesn't matter. So now I'm just gonna sit here burnishing my straps, and that'll be the main part of the finishing. So I just wanted to share a quick thing, because I've done the first one now. This is the one that's not been burnished yet. You can see it's quite stiff and unpliable. This one has only had the edges burnished, but it's really flexible already. And the sides here are quite nice and smooth. This in here still needs to be flattened, but you can basically see, that's the good thing about this part of the tool. Just do this. And now it's not rough and uncomfortable. The good thing about leather straps when you lift is that over time, because of the sweat and the salt, they become softer and more pliable. So that's nice. But doesn't help. It helps to have helped it along, making it more pliable from the start. So I'll finish this and we can have a wrap up. So there we have it. Oh, and I still haven't done this part. This one, just there we go. Straps are ready for the last bit. Which is just called leather fat in Denmark, and it just smells so nice. It is also made of beeswax and yeah, all the lovely shit. And we just give it a good rub of this.
Now this will preserve it, and it will make it pliable. And since it has wax in it, we just need to heat it up, which is why I'm rubbing it in. And that was one side. Do it on the other. And now, as you can see, it's supple, pliable, and easy to work with. And then in a couple of hours, it'll be nice and soft and non-slippery. So, I guess there's nothing left to say, but thanks for watching and have an amazing day. And I'm gonna hit the gym and see if I can lift even more now. I just see the feeling of it. Yeah, it feels much better. And it can get much tighter now because it's softer. So yeah, have an amazing day, and I'll see you around.